All right, stock market analysis and projections. We're going to look at the S&P 500 and more. But before you do that, please do read this slide thoroughly. This tells you all about our analytical approach and information and what that means for you and how you move forward once you do see the analysis that we share. So please do read this slide. Stock market, S&P 500. We're going to look at a short-term view. We're going to start out in the Russell because I think it's key because it has a cyclical pattern on there that seems to be dominating the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, which I have overlaid on those charts also. So we're going to look just at the short term here right now. An important thing here when we look at the Russell is that there is an island right over here. And I'm going to go back and refer to that because all three of the indexes have that island there. And this is at a double top area. But before that, let's just take a quick look at the analytical style. This is the cycle bracket on the bottom. Now, this 18-day cycle is out of phase with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, and it is affecting those, and I'll show you that. So you can see the beautiful cyclical rhythms right in here, that cycle low here and the cycle low here. Remember, early in the cycle is when the cycle is rising, and where it peaks is significant because the later that it peaks, the less chance it has to correct, and then you end up getting a positively configured cycle, which then gets you a rally after that. Here, in the case of a negatively configured cycle that peaked in the left side of the cycle, that's called a left-hand translation, and that gives you an indication that it's going to be weaker during that time frame. Usually when you have a negative cycle in here, then the next rally has trouble making it up to that high. This one equaled it, so it was a little stronger than expected, and then it formed that base. Now I want you to look closely at what's happening right over here because that's so important. We have that double top that's formed right over there and that island. Now it's getting a good rebound today, but it is very significant that it rallied up, tested these highs, and then came down and almost broke that low. If it gets below 1881, it will be a warning of an intermediate top that has formed. Now it's getting this nice rebound back, and this big break comes as interest rates pop. This one rebounds today as interest rates pull back some. So this is greatly affected by interest rates now because these zombie stocks that make up so much of this list have to borrow tons of money. And also there's a lot of financials in here. And as the financial stocks have suffered recently based on higher interest rates, it affects this index. And the reason for that, of course, is because they have these large holdings in their portfolio and they're underwater on it in the treasury market. And if they run out of cash or investors pull their cash out of those banks, then that run on those banks causes them to have to sell their treasury holdings at losses, and that causes massive problems and bank takeovers. And there may be a lot more of that yet coming out there. We don't know for sure. And I'm not certainly saying that there is, but the higher interest rates go, the more stress there's going to be on those smaller banks. So that's important when we look at this. This does look to me like it has turned over already. This cycle pattern right over here looks like a island with a left-hand translation. In other words, the timing translation is that it peaked on the left side. That leaves all of this time to decline. This is a warning for the overall stock market. Now, if it gets back up over here, it can repair itself up to that those levels. I would doubt that that's going to happen, but that does happen. Sometimes this is anomalous. I would say at least 70% of the time when we see this shape, it rallies back and fails and ends up to go lower. And that's what I think is going on right now in the Russell. So the short-term view in the Russell is overall getting less positive, not quite negative yet. Now, when you look at the slim ribbon PO, this level 4 indicator that we have, it just gave this resumption, this upward resumption signal, and the slim ribbon is still positive, as you see right over here. You could get the slim ribbon for free for the Thinkorswim platform by downloading it from our site. It's also on the Tasty Trade platform. So if you open a Tasty Trade account, through our website, hopefully, then you will then be able to see the slim ribbon at work in there. But to get the slim ribbon PO, you need to be an askSlim level 4 member. And this is signaling, as you can see, another bullish resumption in here. So the key is what happens in here. Can it hold? Will the slim ribbon, which is now flattening out, as you can see, end up turning negative? Those are things that we're looking for in here to give us the tip off that this downturn in Russell, which looks ominous to us, is actually real. So that's what we're going to be looking for. And this key cycle right in here, this comes out to a decline out into late July. This is different than what we have in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And I'm going to show that to you now as I switch over to the S&P 500, SPX. So here is SPX, and we're basically looking at the same time frame right in over here, the same thing, but the S&P cycles are different. And this cycle over here bottomed earlier than we expected. We thought it would come down another week, and a lot of people wrote to us and said, Slim, you said it was going down longer and further. Well, we don't make the rules. The stock market does what it wants to do, and this bottom came early. But then you have this island in here. Now you see the slim ribbon, it is stronger than it is in the Russell, and no, this didn't get down anywhere near as far as we saw it come down in the Russell. So that is significant when we look at that. And the real risk is out over here in the S&P 500 out towards the end of July and August. That's where biggest risk is, where that big yellow zone is. So you have an island here. It's trying to rally back. It hit the minor supports right in there, and that saw that get a bounce that's going on today. Still, that island exists. It is a warning to us, and we're going to be looking at that. Here is that overlay of the Russell right over here on that 18-day cycle, and so we're going to be watching how this affects the S&P 500 and how this plays out. As usual, buying is coming in here on Friday. We've seen so much of that, but will it hold up today? Will it hold up coming into next week? Will the Russell coming down during this period right over here affect the S&P 500? It can. As long as the S&P 500 is above that minor support right over there, 43.55, then it is okay. It doesn't turn negative. If it breaks below 43.28, where that cycle low is right over there, that is very negative. That would suggest an intermediate top. It would negate our looking at 4,500 on the S&P 500. So this is important numbers. 43.55 is where that warning number is, and it's a long way from that right now. And 43.28 right now is where the breakdown would come. So in the meantime, momentum still strong. The slim ribbon PO still green and strong. And the resumption signal came right on time right over there. And the slim ribbon very strong right there. And of course, the intermediate momentum conditions, and you can see that on our market condition monitor, the MCM, that they're all still positive. So like I said in the beginning of the show, our sum of the evidence on all of our analysis is still quite positive. We just have these warnings on these short-term charts, and we are heeding that. Again, the target up over here was 45.32 with a really, really crazy one up here at 4,600. I don't think that could happen, but 40, this number right there is 45.13. This number is 45.34. That is still these upside targets right over here unless we break down these numbers. So we're getting the warnings. We're with the island shape right over there. We're getting the warning on the Russell shape of that pattern. But still, overall, the sum of the evidence is positive when we look at this. And one more thing we'll look at in here is the NASDAQ. You had that island right over there. It came down to the minor supports and had no problem getting that bounce that you can see right there and is moving up. You could see here the slim ribbon even more positive than on the NASDAQ, than on the S&P 500, where it's flattening out on the Russell. And here the slim ribbon PO, look at these upside resumptions right right in here as the market keeps moving to the upside. Here's where that low was in the Russell right there, and here's where that next period of pressure could come in the Russell right over here. So we're watching that. This is an important period out over here. Will it be able to storm on the upside and give you some very big upside moves? Or will this fail and this island prove to be accurate and then move down again? That's really sums it all up when you look at that. With the Russell giving warnings, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ still very strong, buying still coming in the NASDAQ stocks, but still being lifted by a very, very narrow number of stocks with breadth in the market that just is not at all favorable that we have seen. Now, the breadth improving here on Friday after being terrible when you looked at it on Thursday, but still overall breadth has not been great for the market. Narrow leadership as it moves up, and some warnings. The target still in that area of the low 4500s in the S&P 500, but there are warnings out. And if you did not watch the whole show, if you scrolled forward, or if you just are watching a clip of the stock market analysis, go back and watch the beginning of the show, because my opening monologue talks about why the stock market has problems moving forward. And I think it's important for you to look at that beginning of this show also. All right, that's the end of it. Please do take advantage of our level 1 membership, 50% discount. You get all this for just $30 for 3 months. Daily information. Just click the Learn More button at the top of the front page at askSlim.com, and you'll get more information. You get to learn more and sign up for just $30 for 3 months.